free to post in the comment box below, and if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Welcome to this new Flight Simulator update movie. As you might have already seen, there's a new update for Flight Simulator 2020. It's actually a bug fix, right? Because it's released after the 40th anniversary update as well as sim update number 11. There were several reports where people reported issues, things not working correctly. Well, here the bug fix is. At least the first one, because there might be a few more in the, very near future. So first of all, the general bug fixes, they fixed several crashes. Well, that's always the case, right? Again, the reminder on top of the release notes, make sure that if you're experiencing bugs, remove the community add-ons and try to see if you can repro it again. In some cases, the community add-ons are causing issues, so be aware of that. Also, they fixed a potential crash when requesting missing or malformed waypoint VOR or NDB, right? So if you're planning, a flight from within the, navigation system, then it might cause an issue. I haven't experienced it myself, but potentially it can. And the Gumball Cabri G2 occluder has been improved to match the cockpit. So they made some changes there. Then, to be honest, the most fixes are there for the Airbus A310, but that was already, released 2 weeks ago, where they said, hey, this will be our major focus on this bug fix or new update for Flight Simulator 2020. So where did they focus on? They focused on accessing the secondary flight plan without a primary flight plan entered may cause the aircraft to lock up. So didn't experience that myself. But this is currently a new known issue, so be aware of that, you can't do that. There are some texture fixes, the park and brake spelling fixed, and some low-res textures improved on the base version. They fixed the flight deck sticker, which was not moving with the door, and they fixed the trim wheel and yoke textures, as well as the RAT is now animated in the cockpit only. And the RAT is a special mechanism which is for emergency power, and that's now being animated. So nothing at the outside. Then we've got the electronic flight back. There's now an added automatic MEDAR lookup on to from airports. I will show it in a few seconds. The auto-populated wind, temperature, runway condition on QNH from the MEDAR data. So I would say it makes it easier for you. And they also added a manual MEDAR search, right? So you now can also manually search for, hey, what's the weather at that specific airport or location. They added the ability to enter numbers on the flight planning page, as well as sliders for packs, cargo, and fuel. It's also something we're going to look at. And they removed the volume sliders from the EFB. They fixed the erroneous ETA to destination. So there was, ETA to destination was not always correctly shown, but it's now fixed. And they fixed the OAT to return value not representation with live weather, right? And as last one, they fixed the wind direction being filled with VRB, which stands for variable, which is not processable. Then they did a lot of fixes for the sounds, and I will not go to all of them. And they, kind of decreased some sounds. Some, sounds were, upscaled. There were several tweaks also for the engine, but also for the engine APU start sounds. And they also made some tweaks to brake fan and PAX system sounds. And several other sounds which they modified, right? So a lot of sound updates or audio updates. Then we've got the FMC. They fixed the SimBrief import, right? So SimBrief import, although they initially said, hey, it works, it actually didn't work. Well, there was a workaround to use the ini building tool and then import it in Flight Simulator. So this should be fixed now, although as part of beta testing, it still not work 100%. So I'm really looking forward to having this one tested in the future. Then they've got to fix numerous FMS crashes, right? So flight management system crashes. And they fixed the top of descent triggering too early, which resulted in, if you were having an approach configured in your flight plan, then would trigger too early, which would reduce in, several negative impacts, which you really don't want to have. And they fixed the pressure system issue, where there was an issue with the pressure system. Also, the autopilot now stays connected even when you're lower than the VLS -10, right? It's now an option in electronic flight back, which you can set on. Then autopilot will disconnect at VLS -10. In a flight, the AP stays on even getting below 100 knots after takeoff. AP cannot be switched off below 100 knots, and that's what you can configure now. They fixed the LW issue, and they fixed the magnetic variation added to the RMI. Also the set auto brake commands from MS. West settings for the TCA Airbus quad. So if you've got a TCA Airbus quad, then you can now set it using that nice button. And they fixed the VR frequency in the LS box. Also made a change to the waypoints to vert ref, brings up the vert ref from the destination airport instead of the, I would say, correct waypoint. And the init B now says zero fuel weight center of gravity instead of center of gravity, which is in line with the industry standard. Also, they fixed the pitot heat, and they fixed an issue with the right wheel brake on some hardware. Didn't experience it myself. Also, they made a lot of changes to the tooltips, right? The tooltips are there to show you, hey, this is where this instrument belongs to, so you might have switched them on or not. If you didn't switch them on, you wouldn't have seen it. But there are now several fixes where it will display the correct information, such as the switches, but also the weather radar switch fixed, cameras. They fixed the showcase quick view under the belly camera. A lot. Then coming to the HC part, right? They updated the default livery HC call sign. Now, I didn't observe it even on myself, but there was every livery has a default HC call sign, and there was an error in that. They fixed it. They fixed the lightning, the cockpit lightning toggled with the L key binding and the control key binds. The autopilot commands can now be bound to default key commands, right? So you've got now options to, I would say, set the autopilot and bind them to specific combination on your keyboard if you're playing with the keyboard. The HC, FMC, FMS, not sure what they mean with this, but hey, they fixed something. And they fixed the Xbox needs to press A twice to enter characters on the MCDU, which is now fixed. Also, they improved the intercept calculation methodology on all SIDS and stars. And the FO VAR gouge animation is now fixed, right? So the from gouge wasn't animated. That has now been fixed. Almost to the end, right? The FMS crew stamp can now be edited, as well as the numerous FMS crashes which happened, and that should now be fixed. So a lot of things which have been fixed. So let's have a quick look at that electronic flight bag, right? Which you can see over here. So the electronic flight bag, they made some changes to that, right? So if we go to the menus, then the most things will be in, let's say, this part, the metadata. And the metadata will now be able to look at your departing and destination airport, right? So you can populate them, which was already part of this initial screen, right? Where you could see the flight details, where it would display the ICAO codes of both the departure and arrival. That now also can be added here. You can still do the meter lookup, right? By providing the ICAO code, right? So if you would say Echo Hotel Romeo Delta, which is Rotterdam The Hague Airport, you can still press enter, and then it will show you the metadata of that specific airport. If you want to go back to the flight data, you can go to this one. You might need to press update metadata if you want to update it, but as soon as you populated the departure and arrival airports, it will show it here directly. So that's, I would say, really nice add-on. Then checklist, nothing has changed here. And this one, this is also changed, right? So it will now, I would say, pick the wind and several other parameters from the metadata. So you don't have to populate them anymore. The weight, unfortunately, you still need to get it, as well as some of the other settings. You might need to populate them here. And then after that, you can calculate it. I will show it, or I have already recorded a video about it, but I probably will record a new one because some things have changed. So that's cool. Going to the mass balance, right? This is, say, I didn't see any changes here in this one, but the last few changes were really in this nice settings menu, where they made some changes, especially to that specific setting. Let me have a look. Where was it? I thought it was here. I think it's this one, but I'm not 100% sure because it's kind of weird, because I was expecting a different option, to be honest, but I don't see it here. So these are not clickable, right? So don't get you surprised like me. You can't click on these. There's also no sub menu. So these are all the settings, and I think the 100K is referring to this one, which they changed. So the default throttle reduction, accelerator, all altitude is by default set to 1500 AL, and you can now set it also to 1000 AL if you want. So these are, I would say, the major changes, right? The other changes are made for the majority over here, right? Where you can now import SimBrief. But as mentioned, during the beta, I already experienced some issues, so I probably need to figure out why it's not working. And so I'm not going to show it right now, but in the future, I will record a new video about that. So here ends this video. In this video, we looked at the latest update for Flight Simulator 2020, which fixes several things for the Airbus A320, or 310, sorry, from Ini Builds. So I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you got questions or comments, then feel free to post in the comment box below. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.